Hey, good morning, Ben here with Studio on the Lake. So, I drove back from Iowa first week of February in a blizzard. A 6-hour trip turned into a 10-hour trip, and this is what the lake looked like when I got here. So, here's going out. Here's where the pup has made a path. Actually, I've been out here a few times before I filmed this, but here's the snow we had on the ground from the blizzard, and there's a studio sitting in the background. This is what I am looking forward to. Not too long. It's my favorite time of year. This is spring. You won't be able to see the lake through there from the studio in the spring, but that's my favorite time of year. And then the trees will start to leaf out. So here we go. This is a simple one in a smoothie kind of bird thing. It's more of a this is a folk art peacock. And I was picking up some stuff out of the corner of the shop and dusting some things off, and this is what I ran across. So here's a big peacock, and you'll see in a minute when he was done. You can see that it's pretty cold when I'm filming that, and that was 2004. As I've said before, it was January 2004, so I don't put months on there anymore when I sign those. So here's the little pattern that we're going to use. This is a little one that didn't sell in the shop. His leg still has a tag on there for some reason, in all the shipping and moving around and stuff that we did. The carvings would go in a box. I didn't treat him real well. And his tin tail broke off. We're going to put a tin tail. Actually, we're going to put a copper tail on this guy today. I looked real quick in the corner. I didn't see any tin, but I did see little copper strips. So there was no rhyme or reason on this guy why he's fatter on the blank. So if you're trying to copy the blanks, there's no rhyme or reason to that. I like to not start with complete square in a lot of cases because it gives the piece a little bit of movement. And this guy, I'm going to try to kind of cant him off to the side, so that he doesn't look lifeless. If you do a completely block square carving, symmetrical all the way around, it has its uses. But in the animals and whatnot, they have a little more life. And this will not have a glass eye, and you can see that I'm not copying it 100%. This is a little bit fatter. I'm going to leave him a little bit fatter, and he's going to be kind of leaning to the left side there. So there's the blank, basically roughed out. A lot of that was done, as you've seen me do before, with my, here's a shocker. You guys that are carving pigs, Rob and Jordy and those guys, this was done in 2004. This was in the shop. This is a pig, and it says it's time, meaning it's time for pigs to fly. So here's a pig that obviously didn't get sold, and his wings are gone. I actually found them in the corner over there. I think they probably fell out, and then I was going to put him, but he has 10 ears. He has a little copper coil for a tail. And hey, Jordy, he's painted pink. But you know why? Because pigs are supposed to be pink. So, and you can see what I used to do. They got the bases on there. These used to sell fairly well in the shop, and they were pretty quick to carve. Now, this one was all done with chisels. You can see the chisel marks on the pig there. He was not power carved. And here's one that never got finished. His production never made it. Somehow or other, I probably didn't like his face and a little stubby body. But he's got little wings in there. He got an initial paint on him, and he was never mounted to a deal. So, hey, long time ago, carvers were carving pigs that fly when pigs fly. Not spirit pigs, mind you. That's something new, and that's why I'm enjoying this group we got going here. Jordy and Just Carve Rob, Mark the Maker, all you guys out there, everybody that follows all this stuff. So this is kind of a tutorial on how to do a smoothie, and here's the interesting part. I'm putting center lines in, so I'm putting left and right, top and bottom, obviously. And I'm going to show you what that does for this. So I've got the basic shape of this guy. And you'll notice I didn't go clear to the tip of the tail. That's because his tail is going to be tin. I'll show you how I do that later on. And then it's going to be a slot cut back pretty much where I ended those lines on the end of the tail. So there he is. I left a lot of material in the bottom down there. Now here's the important part. Notice how I'm working in the round. I'm turning this guy around, but I'm stopping at those lines, that front line and the line down his body. I'm carving right between those two lines, and I'm making that round. Now I'm not taking away the line, except in some cases where it's really out. I just pointed out left to right there. That keeps me symmetrical, which I said I wasn't trying to do. But if those lines flow, then the symmetrics of it kind of flow on that. So there's the whole secret to how to work with your carving. And always put your reference lines back if you carve them off. And those will be pretty much the last thing that gets removed on a carving. This guy's going to be a smoothie. He's not going to have feathers on there. There's going to be a little bit of sanding involved. You won't get to see the paint of that. And now I'm working his base down in there. I already have a pattern. I can't tell you where the pattern from this came. You saw on there, it says that one on the left was done around 2004. That is when we had the wood carving shop up in Cold Springs, New York, across the Hudson from West Point, where I was stationed with the West Point Flight Detachment. And we sold a lot of these. Now, New England is big on folk carvings. And to a larger degree, all the carvings that those of us are doing in the group, with a few exceptions, would be considered folk carvings. In other words, they're not realistic. They're just some untrained, is typically a folk deal, untrained artists' idea of how something should go, and they represent but are not true to life for him. You see that leg I just pointed out? That leg is a little thin. You don't get to see it, but I take that fatter leg on the right there. Later on, when I was sanding this guy, he broke right there because that's a weak point. And I did put a steel rod up through that, and it doesn't show, but it gives him some stability. So here's the pattern that I was kind of thinking of going with the tail. I could have gone hog wild on that in any shape you want, with the peacocks fanned all the way out. And then here's the base that we're going to put that guy on. So I didn't spend a whole lot of time showing you how to get where you're going. I just wanted to put this together because anybody can carve this guy smooth, right? So there's the pattern for the tail. And you saw that there's not a whole lot of carving to that. This is a piece of brass stock that I have. I got a bunch of sheets of these in different sizes. I use them in the clockwork stuff. And I didn't have a piece of tin. I save rusty and clean pieces of tin for doing this. And I couldn't find my tin snips. And fortunately, this copper was thin enough that you can see it cuts just like paper. So it's got no thing. Now, one thing I do to bring these to life, and if you're a subscriber, you've seen it before. If you're not a subscriber, this might be a good time to do that. It helps out the channel, and you'll get a chance to see some of the new ones. So here's a little ball peen hammer. There's my trusty stump. There's that real simple peacock shape or bird shape on there with no glass eye, and I'm just dimpling this. And two things are happening here. One, it's putting little faucets in the copper that I think I'm going to leave. I'm not going to completely paint this over. I'm going to let that stuff shine through, and that's what you get there. And it kind of concaves it a little bit. Okay, up like because it's stretching the metal. If you know anything like Rob over there, Just Carve Rob. Rob knows about metalwork and shaping and that sort of thing, because we do cars when we're not messing around with this sort of stuff. So there he is. He's got a slot cut in the back. It's a folk art type of deal, and that tin, or in this case the copper sheet, just sits right down there in the slot. Now, when you're gluing metal and you're gluing wood, over time, the two of those will need a little bit of attention. 20 years Well, you saw those pieces that I was using for references in the background there. Those guys will eventually, the metal doesn't shrink at the same rate with the hot and cold of the summer, winter seasons if you have those. And the reason I live up here in Wisconsin is I like 4 good solid seasons. I don't necessarily have to work outside in the cold, although I do refuel the helicopter at -20, and here lately it has been -20 outside. So, but there is sunlight shining through in the corner of the studio there, you can see in the windows. But there's the guy. It's on a simple base. I will put this guy on the Etsy shop if anybody's interested in him, and I won't torture you with the paint. I left the bark on the front, and the front of that does have a saw cut in the bark. So there he is painted. It's a simple, straightforward paint job. This guy will get a couple more coats of acrylic clear so that he shines, but you can see what that copper does. I did a little bit of stippling on the base there, but other than that, he's just straightforward. So, like always, click like. That helps out the channel. Comment and subscribe. And hey, thanks a lot. This has been Ben with Studio on the Lake.